And he also had a knowledge of mankind because he was such a person who wanted to give back to his community and to also all people. So that's going to put us into this section of it where I love that he went back to his community. He did not have to do anything in the hood anymore because he had made it. You know, he's hobnobbing with the Jay-Z's of the world. He's, you know, flying private. He's doing all the things. And yet he decides to go 100%. Back to Crenshaw and not open one store, but open up a whole strip mall, buy a whole strip mall of stores so that he can start an empire where kids in the hood can come and work, be trained, and put money in their pocket and different things like that. And then also the segue into him understanding humankind, you know, him connecting with his Mexican brothers and sisters, and him creating that song "Fuck Donald Trump," which we heard 2016 until, you know, he got booted out.
Oh yeah, there's so much to unpack there. I mean, the first thing I would say is that, you know, for Nip, he was not ever in a position of going back to his neighborhood. He never left his neighborhood. He stayed 10 toes down the entire time. And he opened so many businesses, employed so many people, and he did so against resistance from all sides. You know, the police were constantly harassing his place of business, a family-owned business, which was providing legitimate employment for people who would, you know, some of whom had criminal records, who would not be able to gain gainful employment, and frankly, to survive, might have returned to street life. But instead, Nip was providing legitimate employment for young men and women to change their lives. And it's as if the authorities didn't want him to do that. And that became a constant source of frustration. The other part of why a lot of people end up leaving the communities that, you know, where they started out is that, as E40 once said, hate come with the plate. And, you know, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily wish you the best, especially if they're not helping themselves to what's on your plate. So it's a very challenging environment to build an empire. You know, there's a lot of stories of hip-hop self-made moguls who have elevated and created very inspiring success stories, but I don't think there's anyone who did it quite like Nipsey Hussle. You know, Jay-Z built this amazing empire with Rockefeller Records and Roc Nation, but he did not build it in Marcy Projects. And, you know, that's something that Nipsey Hussle was able to do. And sadly, of course, we saw the tragedy that unfolded on March 31st. So it's a very complex and challenging life story, but it's one that I thought was very important to document as a music journalist, as someone that's been covering hip hop for most of my life. And, you know, I thought that this story needed to be told properly.